Now joining us is a former Michigan offensive lineman, now does a very successful morning drive talk show on the Ticket in Detroit, and that is Jon Jansen here with us. Jon, always great to see you. How you been?
Hey, Zach, it's always great to join you. And it's been a long, long off season. So I am more than happy that it's over. I get a chance to see the team practice every day. So I know we're all waiting for week 0, week 1. Everybody else gets kicked off, but I'm just happy to have at least practice right now.
So since you being at all these practices and you get to see this quarterback competition, when we get to game 1, 17 days from now, will Bryce Underwood be starting at quarterback for the Wolverines?
In my estimation, he will. I mean, he has a certain skill set that is extremely rare. He's fast, he's athletic, he's big, he's physical, he's got a strong arm. Now it's a matter of mastering the offense. It's a matter of going out there and taking everything that he has learned in spring ball, because he was an early enrollee, throughout the summer and now fall camp, and being able to apply it when they play New Mexico. And so it's early on in spring, there were a lot of overthrows. He was just, I mean, just trying to muscle the ball. He was excited to be out there. Same thing at the first couple of days of fall camp. Things are starting to zero in from him. And it's not that Mikey Keene hasn't looked good or Jaden Davis hasn't looked good. I just think that the best opportunity for Michigan is to have a guy back there with as many talents as he has.
And really, I think it's going to be Underwood. I'm in agreement with you. Anyone that they do start, though, will be better, I would hope, from the quarterback play last year. In terms of, we all know the potential of Underwood. We all know how much money, right, he's getting paid and what the expectations are. But in year 1, just him individually, what do you think that immediate impact would be for him as the starting quarterback for the Wolverines?
Oh, I mean, it's just accuracy downfield. And I just mentioned, he was overthrowing some balls, but when I watch him and I watch the timing he's developing with his receivers, the understanding of the offense, and I think that the biggest difference isn't necessarily going to be Bryce Underwood or Mikey Keene or anybody else that's in there. The biggest difference is Chip Lindsey, the new offensive coordinator. Obviously coming from North Carolina, he had the great opportunity to work with Drake May, as well as Amarian Hampton. And at Michigan, as talented a quarterback as Bryce could be, we're still going to run the football. We'll use Bryce in that run game, but it's still going to be, ground and pound. That's going to set everything else up. And I really liked what I've been able to go back and look at those game plans, what they did in North Carolina, and now what I'm seeing through spring ball and fall camp. It's more about the offense. And now you throw a quarterback like Bryce in there with a transfer like, McCulley at the wide receiver position. I really think that this is going to be an offense that's going to be explosive. We'll finally see a forward pass in Michigan Stadium. It's going to be a brand new thing for us.
We all know the success. I know last year was the outlier, but the 3 years before that, we all know the success that Michigan had, winning the 3 straight Big Ten championships, the national championship factored in as well. But there really wasn't on those teams elite wide receiving play. It was mainly focused the offensive line, the dominant running backs of Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, last year Kalel Mullings. You talked a little bit there about some of the wide receivers. What is this unit really going to look like this year when you take a glance at it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just mentioned Donovan McCulley, and a lot of the comparisons that I would make is not to what he's doing in the NFL now, but a Nico Collins type of receiver. Big, he's got some length. He's going to obviously be dynamic in the red zone, but to be able to, hit the center of the field with a big target, that's really what he's going to bring. And it'll open up some other things like Fred Moore down the sideline. He's the speed guy. He's running really precision routes, building confidence with Bryce and with Mikey Keene. And then you start looking at some of the other guys that have been there. Samaj Morgan, last couple of years, really what we've seen him be as a special team or a return guy. He's been dynamic there, but he's been kind of relegated on the offense to running reverses and some trick plays and some wide receiver screens. You'll still see those, but he's going to be a much bigger part of being able to, come out of the slot and be an effective receiver as well.
Jon Jansen here with us. I talk about those running backs the last few years. Blake, you had Donovan, and then also what you saw last year with Mullings. This year, you see Jordan Marshall's back. They get the transfer in Justice Haynes. The two of them, I keep on hearing big reviews and big expectations for them entering this season.
Yeah, and I mean everybody always wants to know who's going to be the starter, and I have no idea. It's 1A, 1B, however you want to stack them. And Jordan Marshall is very familiar with some of these guys on the offensive line, familiar with some of the offense that remained in place in regards to the run game, the calls, how the guys up front like to block them. There's some changing, moving parts up there as well, but Jordan Marshall in the bowl game against Alabama was very productive. A lot of people have compared him to Blake Corum in just his ability to one to lead while he's on the field, leading some of the workouts. And he's a young guy. He's only a sophomore. This will be his second year. So I'm really excited about that. And Justice Haynes, they're very similar backs. And the only thing I could tell you is maybe how they're going to be used. Justice to me seems a guy that's going to be more 6, 7, 8 hole wider runs. Jordan Marshall seems to be a little bit more effective between the tackles. Not that either guy can't do both, but that seems to be maybe the only difference between these two guys.
You take a look at the defense, flipping gears, Jon Jansen here with us. They lost a lot of talent in the last 2 years. We know that, especially last year with Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Josiah Stewart, Will Johnson, who I think just as long as he's healthy, that's a guy that the Cardinals have got an absolute steal with, who probably should have been a top 10 pick, but because of the injuries fell to the second round. With all the talent they lost, we know Michigan, we saw it, right? They lost Aiden Hutchinson. They got better. They lost Chris Jenkins and Mikey Sanders still. Still, that defense was awesome last year. When you look at this defense, is it still the strength of this football team when you look at it?
It is. It's really going to be the front seven. This might be the most talented group of linebackers. Before I talk about them, Trey Williams, the transfer from Clemson, has been terrific. He's been a great leader. He's brought a lot of that to this team. Trey Pierce, Damon Payne, Ike Awuna. I mean, could go down the list. There's 6 guys that they're going to rotate at that defensive tackle, nose tackle position, and they all look exactly the same. They're 6'3", 320 pounds. They're all, they're just bowling balls, and they do a great job of stopping the run, taking on double teams, letting the linebackers make plays. But you're not going to see the stats of a Mason Graham or a Kenneth Grant for one guy. But I really think that in those positions, the stats are actually going to be better because you're not going to see one of those guys get more than 20, 22 reps a game. They'll rotate in and out. That's what Wink likes to do at every position. He's got great depth there. Off the edge, it's TJ Guy, Derek Moore. And I've been talking about Derek Moore for a couple of years, and he just really hasn't had an opportunity to get in there because a lot of those guys that you already mentioned, Josiah Stewart last year, Derek Moore is a guy that he led the team in pressures last year. Josiah Stewart led him in sacks, and it was a race to the quarterback. So he's a guy, he's got a really good couple of steps off the ball. He's using his hands well. And I mentioned the linebackers, Jay Barham and Ernie Hausman. They're going to be moving all over the field because they have Jimmy Rolder and Cole Sullivan that they can rotate in there. And Wink has already talked about being able to use Jay Sean on the edge, using him in the B gap, the A gap. They're going to use him all over the place. And it's a really talented, deep group of players. And I think all 4 of those guys I just mentioned at the linebacker position, whether it's next year or 2 or 3 years, they're all going to be playing on Sundays.
Jon Jansen here with us. It's crazy when I look back at the year that Jerome Moore just had, because for most of the year, there was some question marks. And then you end the season, and I still think it's hilarious that they beat Ohio State last year. And then you followed up with that bowl victory up against Alabama. Then you land Bryce Underwood. And for what was most of the year, and there was going to be a fall off after losing Harbaugh, but it was a disappointing season. It ended on such a high note that there was so much optimism. Going into this year, where do you think the Michigan fans' confidence is in Sherrone Moore as he gets ready for his full second season as a head coach?
Well, not only did they land and beat Ohio State at the end of the season, they beat Alabama in the bowl game, and Alabama was one of the few teams that played most of their starters, or those guys played in the game. So it's a great way to end and energize the fan base. Then you land the number 1 recruit in the country in your own backyard. He was already committed to another school. You're able to flip him. You get a 5-star left tackle in Babalola. The recruiting class energized the fan base as well. Now, some of those guys may not perform for another 2 or 3 years, but the talent is there, the depth is there, and the fan base is excited about year 2 of Sherrone Moore because, and don't forget, in that last year of Jim Harbaugh, those last 3 regular season games, that one that was in Penn State, the head coach was Sherrone Moore. And that Ohio State game, that was Sherrone Moore. And so It's going to be really exciting. The fan base is excited. I'm excited to see what he does this year. Now that he's had a chance to mine the transfer portal, he's had a chance to recruit his own guys. He's had a chance to learn, and I mean, learn on the job. You don't get a chance to do that very much at Michigan. He did, and I expect big things out of him in his second year.
Is this team expected to be, in your opinion, a playoff team? Is that kind of the bare minimum success this year, make the college football playoff?
It is. That's the bare minimum every year. Now that it's gone to 12 teams, and okay, we'll give them a mulligan last year, first year transition. And what I really liked is that he wasn't fixed on keeping his guys. He made a change at offensive coordinator. That's a sign of leadership. We're not just going to keep the status quo. It wasn't good enough, and now that it is, it was last year, and it will be, at least for now, a minimum of 12 teams. That is the bare minimum, that you are in the playoffs. And then from there, every year it's going to be a little bit different. Hey, we expect to be at least a Final Four team. We expect at least to be in the final game or win a national championship. But for right now, I think the bare minimum is being in the college football playoffs.
Let me ask you about what happened a few years ago, just real quickly with Stallions and all that stuff. I haven't really cared about it. I thought it was a great overreaction at the time. And then when Michigan went on and won the national championship, I really didn't care about what everyone was saying about that. But now I feel like the only time I ever see things about it is when you have Ohio State fans and Michigan State fans pushing sanctions on Twitter. You are in the Michigan community. Is there a fear that something's coming here and that it's going to be significant, or is that really just water under the bridge at this point?
I think it's more water under the bridge. I think the NCAA, I mean, we're going to hear from them before the regular season starts. And I know that I think the worst that it'll be, it's not going to be vacating wins. It's not going to be a postseason ban. The worst is the possible suspension for Sherrone, maybe 1, maybe 2 games. But I really believe it's probably going to be a hefty fine for the university, and we all move on and put it behind us.
All righty, let me just get to some NFL things, then we'll let you run, Jon Jansen. When you look at J.J. McCarthy, right, played his football at Michigan, 27-1, won the national championship in his career. There are big expectations for him. There's some uncertainty for him. People are wondering, when you put more food on the plate and make him throw the ball more, what is he going to look like? I know you cover that NFC North extensively, now being in Detroit Lions country and doing the local show there on the ticket. How do you think we're talking about JJ at the end of his first true year as a starter with the Vikings at the end of the season?
I think we're going to be talking about him. Justin Jefferson can make a lot of quarterbacks look really good. Jordan Addison, when he gets back from the suspension, he can make quarterbacks look good. TJ Hawkinson, the offensive line that they've built, the defense that they've built to be able to give the ball back, he's got every advantage. And they've got, Aaron Jones running the football. So they've got all the pieces in place for a young, inexperienced quarterback. Now it's really this year going to come down to, what was he doing when he was rehabbing? How much was he paying attention? Was he simply focused on getting back on the field, or was he watching film? Was he watching the good things that Sam Darnold did? Was he watching some of the mistakes he made, especially late in the season against Detroit or in the playoffs? If he was paying attention, I've always said rookie quarterbacks, as a rule, should sit their first year. He didn't get the benefit of practice, but he did have the benefit of watching and learning everything that was going on in front of him. And if he utilized that time correctly, he could really hit the ground running.
Give us a little insight on the Lions fan mentality. If they're negative, I totally get it, because you always just assume the worst. But the last 2 years, NFC Championship game 2 years ago, they blew the game to the Niners. And last year, everything was set up for them. Number 1 seed, they come out of the bye, and they just got beat up by the Commanders. And Goff obviously did not play well in that game. Going into this season, we know what the expectations are. It's Super Bowl or bust, but we're still the belief of this organization in terms of the fans, where it's, okay, do they still feel like they could win the Super Bowl, or is it, we had 2 great chances last year and we let it squander away, and now we just kind of think it's going to be the same old Lions?
Well, okay, easy with the SOL there. That is no longer a part of the vernacular here in Detroit. That is long gone. So we don't have fans much like that anymore. But there is a part of the fan base that believes maybe they missed their window. Maybe they missed that best opportunity, because you look at the schedule. They're on the road to Baltimore. They're on the road to Kansas City. They're on the road to Philadelphia, on the road to Washington, on the road at Cincinnati. It's a bitch of a schedule, but they have a great talent on offense, and it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, I mean, J-Mo, how do you say his name? Isaac Tesla. I always mess it up and just say Tesla. He's had a hell of a camp, and just this morning they had the scrimmage with the Miami Dolphins, and most people are saying it's the most dominant performance that they've seen. And again, we're talking about practice, we're talking about preseason,
Sure.
but it's against another team. The fan base, for in large part, still believes that this can be a Super Bowl team, that they can win a Super Bowl, but they're now wait instead of being excited about every single week, they're going to be excited. Ford Field will be rocking. They're just waiting. Hey, at a minimum, the floor is that this team is going to be a playoff team. However they get there, now everybody's just waiting. Okay, we've got to find a way to get there. We got to be in the postseason, and then let's go play ball. That's where anything that happened in that Washington game will finally be put to bed. But there's a long time between now and then. There's a lot of games to be played. But this team is and excited, obviously, to have Aiden Hutchinson back. Everybody that's a Lions fan, Michigan fan as well. Horrific injury, and just excited to have him back and his leadership and his effort on the field and his production.
Last one for you, Jon Jansen. We talked about this before. When you look at Ben Johnson, he was incredibly successful as an offensive coordinator. That's without question. So I didn't really know much about him, the person. Like, you don't really hear much from the offensive coordinator outside of training camp and some availability during the season. Since he's become the head coach of the Bears, I find him to be very obnoxious. I find him to be very arrogant. I find him to be very insufferable. And I should have no reason to root against the Bears, right? They haven't had a quarterback in forever. They're looking for a new coach every 3 or 4 years. It is a great fan base, but Ben Johnson's making me root against the Chicago Bears. Some of the stuff that he's done with LaFleur and, just bashing the tush push, and he only wants explosive plays. It's just annoying to me. What's your view now from afar on Ben Johnson as he enters year one with the Bears?
Very similar to yours. Now, I'm a little jaded because he's gone from the Detroit Lions to the Chicago Bears, a division rival, and it's a bitter rivalry. He hasn't had anything bad to say about Dan Campbell or his time here in Detroit or the team. In fact, he's been very complimentary, and he said, "Hey, I think that offense, with or without me, is going to move right along. There's so much talent there." But I'm with you. I rookies, and whether you're a rookie player, you're a rookie coach, seen and not heard. And you're going to have to do interviews as a head coach, but play it close to the vest until you've gone out there and actually done something. How many coordinators, Josh McDaniel, Matt Patricia, have we seen be really good coordinators but fall on their face as head coaches? Until you do it, it's probably best to keep all those comments to yourself and talk about it when you've done it.
It's kind of funny because I use Matt Patricia as a reference. I go, Ben Johnson just looks like a more presentable Matt Patricia. Like those are the vibes
Yeah.
that I get right now. At least he's buttoned up a little bit and at least looks the part and doesn't look like a slob.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. He doesn't have that pencil stuck in his ball cap, and he at least stands with his team. So, I mean, he's got that going for him.
He's Jon Jansen. Jon, we appreciate it as always. Thanks so much for doing this.
Hey, thanks for having me. We'll see you soon.